course, my GoPro did not want to work today, so I'm adding the talk track afterwards here. Such is life. Anyway, I know it's been a while since I've published a video, but today I'm going to give my 4-month review of my Triumph Scrambler 400X. We've moved from flat Florida to the hillier and more picturesque state of Tennessee with its winding roads. So far, I have just under 900 miles on the bike. If you have been looking into the new Triumph Speed and Scrambler 400Xs, you probably know the specs already, so I'm not going to bore you with those details today. There are plenty of other videos out there that cover the specs in detail. So my goal here is to give you my impressions of the bike after having it for a few months. So, who is this bike for? In my opinion, this bike is great for the shorter rides. Can you cruise on the highway on this thing? Sure. You know, I've gotten this up to 75 miles an hour, no problem, after the break-in period, which I'll cover a bit later on. Personally, for me, I would not tour on this bike. I do have an Indian Chieftain, which I would use for longer rides, but others have taken the Scrambler 400X and Speed 400s on longer tours, and it works for them. For me personally, I think the bike's strong suit is its nimbleness on the back 2-lane roads. And since we've now moved to Tennessee with the more curvy roads, it's been a real blast. Also, it does weigh less than 400 pounds, and you know, compared to my Indian Chieftain, it's much easier to get around the corners and a lot of fun. I think the Speed 400 is probably a bit more nimble with its smaller wheels, which are 17-inch compared to the Scrambler's 19-inch wheels, and I've yet to have any issues taking corners on this bike. The Scrambler does have slightly more off-road biased tires compared to the Speed 400. However, with my experiences, they really do not work too well. In Florida, where we live, the roads were more sandy compared to gravel, and I certainly did not get the traction that I was hoping for. So if you do plan on taking this bike more off-road, I do suggest getting better tires. Also, the Scrambler has the ability to disable traction control and ABS, which would help in those off-road situations. During the break-in period, the bike will flash the tach if you do get over 6,500 RPM. So after this initial break-in period, which is around 1,000 kilometers or about 622 miles, this limitation is lifted and you can use the whole RPM range. For me, that's when the bike became a lot more fun and I no longer had to baby the throttle. So now I have no issues getting on the bike and just tearing down the road. So of course this will affect the gas mileage, but that's the way it goes. So when you do hit that 1,000 kilometer point, you'll get a service indicator on the display, and I believe at this time only Triumph dealership can clear that for you. So if you know better, please leave a comment and let me know. I did change the oil at 650 miles and lubed the chain once so far. That was pretty painless. The oil change was easy, and since this bike sits up a lot higher, you can use a standard oil pan to collect the oil. So far, I've only had a couple issues with the bike. So the check engine light comes on periodically and has so since my second ride with the bike. So I think there is an update for the ECU, and hopefully Triumph can do that for me and get rid of this issue. It does not seem to affect the bike's performance at all. I mean, I have no problem with the bike, no misfires or anything like that. And the other issue that has happened to me a few times is that the bike would not start. So I turned the ignition on, turned the kill switch on, and nothing, nada, when I hit the start button. So after power cycling the bike, it would start right up after that. Maybe it's related to the check engine light, I don't know. Yeah, so for gas mileage, I get anywhere from 60 to 70 miles per gallon, depending on how hard I hit the throttle. And I'm usually ready to fill up around the 150 mile mark. That's when the light comes on, and I'm not one to risk to see how far it will go. I don't want to have to push the bike. The stock seat is adequate for me. I know there is a comfort seat that you can get, but for my shorter 30 to 45 minute rides, my rear end has adjusted well, and I really don't see the need to upgrade the seat. So I'll pull over here in just a moment and get off the bike. We'll do a quick walk around.
Alright, so we're pulled over here for a minute. We'll take a quick walk around the bike. Thought about getting a tail tidy, but with this luggage rack that I put on, I don't know that you'd be able to see the lights so well. So maybe we'll do that in the future, but we'll see. So here's this Rhino Walk bag. It's pretty nice. It does come with a waterproof cover on it, and it will expand up to 35 liters. Good size. Go to the grocery store or whatever.
The Scrambler comes with a 14-tooth front sprocket, which makes the gearing very low. So for the lower gears, you will need to shift pretty quickly. You can cruise around town at 40 miles per hour in 4th or 5th gear with no issues. Now some owners have replaced that 14-tooth sprocket with a 15-tooth sprocket that you can find on the Speed 400, which definitely helps with the gearing, as you can run at higher speeds with 7% lower RPM. So I might swap out the sprocket later on. I do hope that you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.